Using Kuretake paints again today in a selection of pinks and greens, and I'm going to be using flat brush and a round brush. So I'm just putting bands of colour down onto the page, not worrying too much where I put them, just getting that colour down, layering it on top of each other, some of the bands, and some of the bands are separate. With a smaller brush, while the paint is wet underneath, I'm just dragging some paint across. The paint will slightly go blurry just because of the wet on wet technique, and I had a little drip there, so I decided that I would turn the brush to the side and make these petal shapes. Again, brushing in the negative space, some layers of paint with a bit of a squiggly line going on here, and then just adding some straight lines in different areas. Adding this darker green here as an accent colour, and that really works well against the pink. You can see it here, and just going up and down, just making these squiggly little patterns. I thought this green border looked a little bit dull and boring, so I'm just adding some layers of paint. I've got the dark green underneath and adding a lighter green on top, and using the side of my brush and just brushing it on and not worrying too much about where the paint goes. I find it's best to let yourself be free with this and not worry too much about it. It usually doesn't look like much when you've done the painting, but because you're going to embellish it, it completely changes the look of it. So let your painting dry, and when it's dry, I've got some metallic pencils here, and I'm going to start embellishing some of the negative spaces. And I'm just drawing some lines. Just takes that whiteness away from the page and just enhances that empty space there. Outlining these petal shapes, it just helps them pop out from the page if they've got a dark circle around them. Again, just adding some pencil here, a little bit of shading, and doing some lines again in the negative space. You can use any watercolour paints for this particular painting and any pencils that you've got. I wouldn't worry about what you have or haven't got. I'd just get on and do it. You can be held quite back if you start thinking, well, I haven't got this, haven't got that. And just start practicing and see where you go from there. Hope you like this. If you like this, maybe you'll consider liking and subscribing, and maybe leaving a comment. I'd love to hear from you, to hear what your thoughts are, whether you like it, whether you're going to try it, and how the experience was for you. That would be just brilliant. I'll come straight back to you and answer any questions that you may have. Adding dots in the negative space here just to make it a bit more varied. Finding places where shading is needed, using lines to do that shading. Don't necessarily need to fill it all in. It just offers a little bit of detail. So when you're looking at the page, your eye sort of wanders about and isn't fixed at any one point. And I just love doing this because it's so relaxing, really gets you in the zone and just makes you feel at one with your painting. You can embellish with any products that you have, any art supplies that you have, pens, ink, pastels and pencils. You could even layer over the top with acrylic paint if you feel that that would offer a little bit more depth to your painting. Here I'm using repetitive mark making, but because I'm using different coloured pencils on top of different coloured paints, it just looks slightly varied with each section that's been completed. I really hope you get to try and do this. It's so easy to do. You've just got to get started really, and once you get started, hopefully you'll enjoy the process. I'd love to hear about your projects, about whether you've managed to have a go at this and how it was for you. That would just be such brilliant news. Using a white gel pen, putting some circles onto the darker areas just offers that little bit of interest there, and some lines on this dark green just to break it up a bit. I thought it looked a bit blocky, so I thought it needed some detail, and adding some circles here. At times you need to stand back away from your picture to see when to stop. If you're anything like me, you just want to carry on because you're just enjoying yourself. So standing back, having a look and seeing whether there's anything else needed. And if there isn't, then just stop. Pull the tape off, and then you can reveal your beautiful painting with all its lovely detail. So this has been great fun. I've really enjoyed doing it, and I love the colours together. I think that's worked really well. So thanks for watching, and see you again soon.